All right, in this video, I'm going to show you how to create a password generator in Python. So to begin, let's start with our imports. So one of the key imports we're going to utilize is random. So this is going to allow us to generate random numbers. And let's start setting actually some parameters for what we need. So within our password, it's going to need a name. Okay. We will take in a city. We will also take in a special character, as most passwords do, and we're gonna make sure there is a capital letter. All right. Okay, perfect. So let's start building this. So I'm gonna import my random, and I'm gonna start off by creating a new function. I'm gonna call it password gen. And one of the things I want to do right off the bat is start kind of building out what I need. And so I will first bring over my symbols. So these are going to be my special symbols, and I'm going to have to at some point create a function to search through this list to make sure that one of these special symbols are included. I'm also going to ask for a name. And because I want to make this a little more interactive, I'm actually going to take it as an input. So what is your name? Okay. And what I want to do is I want to make it lowercase. So default lowercase. I also want to split it. And so what split's going to do is, let's say I put in my first and last name, or if I put in my first name and it happens to have a space within it, it's going to split based on those on the white space there, and allow me to basically choose the letters that I want within it. I'm going to take my city as well, and let's make this an input. Let's go pick a city. Okay, and same thing, I'm going to default make this lower. I'm not going to split on this one. I'm actually going to do something a little different with it. Make this one a little more interesting. I'm going to take in my special character. Okay, and this is going to be same thing. It's going to be input one special symbol. Okay, and then I'm going to take in one other key thing, and it's going to be my password length. And so what I want this to be, I'm going to make this an integer. I'm going to basically ask what is the minimum length of password? Because as we know, some passwords generators will say it has to be 8 characters, 10 characters, whatever it is. And so I want to put in a check to make sure that we reach that minimum requirement. Okay, perfect. I think we got most of our inputs here. Now, actually, one thing I want to do is to ensure that I have a capital letter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new variable called first letter. And what it's going to do is it's going to go into name, and it's going to take the upper. So by putting these basically double indices here, or double indexing, means that if the word were to be split, I'm able to take pieces of each one. However, this key thing, I'm looking to just take the first letter. If it's split, if it's multiple, I'll be able to take it. Cool? All right. First letter, my second letter. So second letter within my paragraph is going to be my city. I'm going to take everything except for the first letter within it. And I'm going to take everything except for the last letter within it. Why am I doing this? This is purely by choice, but it's to make my password a little more complex and a little more secure, because now instead of just a word like New York or Miami or Toronto, I'm taking away a letter on each side, and it's now more of a unique word, increasing password strength. We are also going to do with my number that I'm going to take in. What I want to do is I'm going to do a little bit of formatting with it. Let's get this typed out, and then I'll explain what we're doing. .format random .rand range between 1 and 999. Okay, so what is this here? So I created a variable called number, and what it's going to do is going to take in up to 3 decimal points. And so actually what I'll do is I'll show you roughly how this num range thing works. You can see this here. Okay. And let's go print num. So if I were to, I guess I have to import random. random. Run it first. Okay. So I have 993, right? And if I were to keep running this, I can see I will always get 3 digits. Okay. So let's do to 100. So as you can see, with 3 digits, I will get 0. If I put this to 2 and I run it, I'll only have 2 digits. 82, I guess I have to do so high a number so it's a little easier to kind of show that. Run it a few more times so you can see what I mean. 144, 121. I guess there's going to be numbers within it. But essentially what this means is that you'll always have digits up to 3 digits. Always 3 here. Hope that makes sense. Okay, let's get rid of this. All right, run that. So I have my range, so I know my number is going to be between 1 and 999. It's always going to have 3 digits within it. So if 6 comes up, it'll be 006. Okay. What else I want to do? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another check right here. So I'm going to call it password check. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to check if the length of the password that we are building is long enough. And we're going to check this right away. And so what I'm going to do is I'm taking my first letter. So again, this is string formatting. So I'm going to have 4 inputs. It's going to be dot format. So it's going to be my first letter, my second letter. It's going to take in my num that I created, and it's going to take in my special character that I created. All right. So I have this, and it's going to be password check. And what this is going to give me basically this whole thing right here. This is going to equal to this. Now within my if function, now if the length of my password check, okay, is greater than or equal to my password length, which I had already defined. So up here, when I took in input and I said it was an integer. So what's going to do is it's going to check the length of this password we're going to build, and it's going to compare it to the password length that we already have, okay? And the special character in symbols. Okay, and so the second part is basically going to check that if the special character that I inputted here is located within symbols. So I want to make sure that my password is long enough and it contains the special symbols that I need. So the password is actually going to equal to this exact same thing here that we created. Okay, and it's going to return the password. But what I want to do is replace any sort of white space with no white space. And so if we go back to the very top here, remember when I said city, you can pick a city, and I said it was lower. I could have added the split, but I chose not to. Well, this is where I'm doing it a little different. If you are to take a city with 2 names, for example, New Delhi, what this is going to do, it's going to basically delete the white space between New and Delhi and make it into one word, which is what you need for passwords. You typically can't have white space. Else, we're going to print, and we're going to say password inputs not long enough or not special symbol, let's say. Let's run this. Any errors? Okay, no errors. Perfect. And then let's actually call our function, password gen. Let's call it. So we say right off the bat, what is your name? It's going to be Gav. Pick a city. I live in New Toronto, let's say. My special symbol is going to be the @ symbol. Minimum length, it has to be at least 10 characters long for me. I run it, and I'm given this password here. So it has my capital letter. It has part of my pick a city, and has my randomly generated number from here, and it has my @ symbol. Let's run this again to show you what would happen if we did something wrong. So my name is Gav. I'm from New Toronto. My special symbol is going to be number 1, and my minimum length is going to be 10 again. We have an error, or we got our prompt here saying password input's not long enough or not special symbol. So I look back and say, oh, I used a 1. Run it one more time. Gav, New Toronto, uses that symbol, and minimum length is going to be 24. Password input's not long enough, and I can see right away with all this, it's never going to be long enough. All right, and that's how you create a really simple password generator in Python.